Underwater emergency. 2 words every diver dreads to hear. My name's Mike Nelson. I'm a professional diver. I'm also a Commodore in the Coast Guard Auxiliary, meaning that I'm subject to call for emergency duty. That's why I was pouring on the coal now. 10 minutes earlier, the Coast Guard reached me at a salvage job I was working, just south of San Diego. They tapped me because I was the boat closest to this particular emergency. No sign of life. I didn't figure. I was sure that this was the position they'd given me off Rosarita Beach. So I decided to drop anchor and get ready for action before checking back with the base for further information. The bubbles in the water could mean that the information I wanted was on its way up to me.
Help! She's trapped down there! Quick, hurry! As soon as I get my gear on.
Take it easy now. Get your breath, huh?
She's trapped, I tell you.
Yeah, I know. You're Forrester. Got your call from the Coast Guard. It was relayed to me. I'm in the auxiliary. How long's she been down there?
I don't know, about a half an hour. We found this old freighter and Anna went in.
How deep is she?
About 90 feet. It's almost right under us.
All right, show me where she is. As near as I could figure, Forrester and the girl had been exploring the compartments inside the cargo hold. The hull must have shifted, and the steel wall of the compartment had mashed down on her leg. I didn't have to be a doctor to see that she was in great pain. The steel plate was pinching her leg cruelly and cutting off the circulation below the pressure point. All the same, she was fighting hard and well to control her fears. I did what I could. But even with Forrester's help, I couldn't even budge the plate. She had been trapped a long time now, and the strain affected her judgment. She didn't understand when I asked her about her air supply. I got through to her finally, though. She told me that she only had a few minutes left. I gave her a fresh tank and all the encouragement that I could. I sure hated to leave her down there alone, trapped, helpless. But I needed some specific information from Bob Forrester. Medical information. Unless I got the right kind of help to her soon, the girl would be more than frightened and hurt. She'd be dead. With a girl trapped in 90 feet of water, there was no time for recriminations or regrets. What I needed to know from Forrester, I'd have to pick up on the run. I got on the horn right away.
Coast Guard radio. This is WM2050, over. Coast Guard radio, this is WM2050, over.
WM2050, this is Coast Guard radio, over.
This is Mike Nelson, reporting on that emergency off Rosarita Beach. The girl scuba diver trapped in the sunken freighter.
Trapped?
Yeah. The hull must have shifted. A buckled plate snapped shut on her leg.
What assistance do you need?
A doctor, fast, by plane. A surgeon that knows how to use a tank. Just a minute. What's her blood type? You know by any chance?
Yeah, we gave blood together. It's,
Hurry up.
type O, RH negative.
Blood type O, RH negative. Repeat, type O, RH negative. Now, time's very important. Get that doctor here as fast as you can, huh? He may have to amputate.
Roger, roger.
Nelson, you said amputate. You didn't mean that.
The swelling in that leg is bound to increase. Those plates aren't going to give.
Well, listen, you can't amputate.
She your wife?
She's everything in the world to me. She has been since we met 4 years ago on Broadway.
Broadway?
In a musical. I was a choreographer, the dance director.
And she's a dancer.
Yes. A great dancer. Anna Buonanova.
Anna Buonanova?
You've seen her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, last time was about a year ago in the Hollywood Bowl. Boy, she is great. She's the greatest.
So you see, you can't just snap your fingers and say, well, then we'll cut off her leg.
Well, unfortunately, that doesn't change things. Her leg is still pinned down by quarter-inch steel. Listen, if she has to lose her leg, that's better than losing her life, isn't it?
But her legs are her life.
Waiting was rough on me, but it was a lot rougher on Anna Buonanova. I sent Bob Forrester down to the wreck to keep her company. He'd be able to tell her at least that some kind of help was on the way. In the time it took the help to arrive, and it got here even sooner than I'd expected. I thought of a million different ways to free her. The only trouble was, none of them would work. The Coast Guard sent a good man, Commander Frank Martin of the United States Public Health Service. He was an ex-frogman and an expert surgeon. He also knew how to move fast. I could see that she was weakening, and the pain was getting worse. Commander Martin told me later that her pulse was surprisingly steady, considering what she'd been through this past hour. I didn't have much hope for it, but maybe now that there were 3 of us down here, we might be able to lift the plate. Commander Martin okayed making the try. All it did was increase her pain to the breaking point. She blacked out, fainted. Underwater, that's dangerous. Fatal sometimes. The only way a scuba diver gets air is by inhaling through his mouthpiece. Anna lost hers. The instant Commander Martin spotted this, he worked the mouthpiece back into her mouth and held it in place. I think that for a moment, all 3 of us prayed that she'd start inhaling again. She did. We hadn't lost her, yet. But how were we going to save her? I didn't have any ideas. I could only hope that Commander Martin did. We left Forrester behind with Anna and started topside for a conference.
Well, what do you say, Doc?
Oh, it looks bad. Virtual stoppage of blood below the knee. Tissues are starving.
What are we going to do about her?
What have you tried so far?
Nothing that's worked.
I don't understand. Torch would cut her free, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but that freighter was built during wartime. Those plates are stripped with special alloys that spread heat.
Oh, I see. By the time we got her free...
Her leg would be cooked.
There must be some way.
And if there is, I wish you'd tell me. There's no other way, huh?
Pain, exposure, underwater too long? I'll have to take off the leg.
Anna Buonanova, prima ballerina, 90 feet underwater. Her leg pinned in a steel vise. And to save her life, she was going to have to lose her leg. Why are you going to all that trouble? You don't have to sterilize anything, just go down and hack it off.
Now, take it easy, Mike. I do have to do this.
These instruments have to be sterile before I get out, no matter what bacteria they may pick up in the water.
Never forget the way she danced. Beautiful technique. You were never aware of it. Everything she did was so simple, so warm. Never be another dancer like her. And we can't do a single thing to save her leg.
No, but we might save her life.
I just thought of something that might work.
What's that?
I don't know why I didn't think of it before. An air saw. That'd be able to cut through those plates.
Do you have an air saw?
No, but the base can fly us out one in about 20 minutes.
No, there just isn't time. She's already been down there almost 2 hours. If she goes into shock...
But this way it'd give her a good chance to save her leg.
And lose her life. No, Mike. It's the leg of her life now. And you know what choice a doctor has to make.
I know what choice I'm gonna make.
Mike, if I thought there was one chance in 10,000, I'd go along with you, but there isn't. Face it. Every minute that goes by increases the danger of shock, and the pain's getting worse. How long do you think she can stand it? And what happens when she becomes unconscious? What happens then, Mike?
What happens when you cut through her leg with that knife?
She'll faint. I'll have to hurry, that's all. I'll load the area with a topical anesthetic.
Whatever you give her, she's gonna pass out. When that happens, what then?
Shock. I'll do it as quickly as possible, then we'll have to rush her right to the surface.
Without a recompression chamber? You know how long she's been down there. What do you think's gonna happen when you take her straight up without staging?
All right, all right. But it's dangerous to wait.
I know, I'll tell them. They'll rush it. It took me only a minute to get the Coast Guard moving. They did have an air saw available, and it was on its way to me almost before I finished asking for it. Okay, roger that. Hey, will you bring up that slate for me? Yeah, good. With Commander Martin's silent blessing, I scrawled a message for Anna Buonanova. Get you free, it said, in 30 minutes. It was the wildest promise that I'd ever made. But no matter what, I was going to keep it. Asking a lot, but if she could hold out for just a little while longer, there was a chance, a tiny chance, that the world might see her dance again. I showed her the slate with its crazy promise. Get you free in 30 minutes. How? By cutting off a leg? Topside, I waited for the air saw. Every minute seemed like 10, but to Anna Buonanova, it must have seemed more like 100. The air saw arrived 20 minutes after my radio request. Commander Martin and I were on our way with it in something like 20 seconds. I didn't know how long it would take an air saw to cut through this kind of steel alloy, or if it would cut through it at all. Despite her amazing vitality,
Anna had been underwater so long that she was nearing unconsciousness again. Commander Martin administered a stimulant. Keeping her awake was going to be his job. I went to work on mine right away, trying to saw through that plate without injuring the leg that we wanted to save. When I was halfway through, Commander Martin signaled me to stop until he rigged a tourniquet for the leg. The sudden release of pressure on her thigh could rupture the blood vessels. The stimulant was starting to wear off, and Commander Martin had nothing else down here to give her. I had just a handful of minutes to finish the job before she lapsed into unconsciousness again. Before I made the final cut, I stopped to take my bearings. This shocked her awake again. She was sure that something new had gone wrong. I was too busy to reassure her. I let the saw do the talking for me. She was free now, but she had been in 90 feet of water for close to 2 hours. It'd take nearly an hour more to get her safely to the top, with stops for decompression.
There you are, Miss Buonanova. Some bruises and lacerations, but nothing permanent.
Doctor, I can't tell you how. I'm so grateful.
Oh, nonsense. Just doing my job. You should thank Nelson from the Coast Guard Auxiliary.
How you feeling now, huh?
I'm alive, thanks to you.
And she'll dance again.
That's the important thing. That's why we waited so long for that air saw. A little too long, maybe. I guess that was a little selfish of me.
Selfish?
Yeah. Now I'll be able to see her dance again.
I'm dancing for you right now, Mr. Nelson. I wish you could see it.
I can. A lot of salt in the air that afternoon. Hard in the eyes.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Bridges, inviting you to join us for another action-packed story of underwater adventure 1 week from today.
The Kuala River in Southeast Asia looks very quiet, but downstairs, it's a maze of currents. And to get this job done, I had to thread my way through them. I'm Mike Nelson, and my job was collecting weeds for a marine laboratory back in the States. They had an idea that these particular weeds might be a first-rate food source for human beings. The currents had made what should have been an easy job a rough one. Every now and then, the underwater wildlife made it even rougher. This specimen seemed to think that I'd make a first-rate food source myself. For him. Maybe he was allergic to scuba divers. Or maybe I just didn't appeal to him. The feeling was mutual. I'd had about all I could take of this temperamental river, with its treacherous currents and trouble-making gators. I'd never enjoyed pulling weeds much anyway, not even in my own front yard. All in all, I was mighty glad that this was my last day in the job. By tomorrow morning, I'd be on my way downriver to the port of Callao. And when I got there, I'd be only 12 hours from home by jet. First, though, I had to get from here to Callao. And these characters had a different idea about that. They also had what it took to make it stick. I didn't know who these fellows were, or why they'd scooped me out of the river like a trout. But it was a cinch they had something in mind for me. Their girlfriend wasn't talking either.
What's happening? What are you doing to me? What's going on? Hey, come back!
I didn't quit till I heard the girl coming back. She brought somebody with her.
Raina, did you do this? Why?
Mr. Nelson is a professional diver.
What?
But we need him to help us.
Help me with this. Help me, boys. You all right, Mr. Nelson?
Your friends have a strange sense of humor.
Well, they didn't mean any harm. You're just trying to help me and the hospital.
Yeah? What do you mean, what hospital?
Lamatsu. I'm Jan Sperling. I'm the doctor there.
Dr. Jan Sperling of Lamatsu?
Yes.
Wow, I never expected to meet you this way.
I'm terribly sorry this had to happen.
That's all right. You know something, Doctor? When I was a kid, about 13, my one big ambition in life was to be just like you. I wanted to build and run a medical center somewhere in the jungle just like you were doing. And you're still doing it. I guess I just didn't have what it takes.
What it takes mainly, Mr. Nelson, is a great deal of help. We've been very fortunate in that regard.
Yes. Until now.
Yes.
You, said something about needing my help.
Yes, sir.
It's far too dangerous.
What'd you have in mind, a diving job?
Yes.
Maybe I can figure out a way, so it won't be so dangerous.
No, Mr. Nelson. Quang Lun controls all this area of the river. He's a witch doctor, and he's out to become Tuan, or leader here, by destroying Lamatsu, if he can.
What do you mean?
Well, our medical supplies come upriver from Callao once every 6 months. A shipment was due 3 days ago. Quang attacked the barge and dumped all the supplies into the river. 3 of our men were killed in the fight.
Supplies still on the bottom?
It wasn't possible to salvage them. Still isn't.
Does Quang Lan have scuba divers in his outfit? You know, with gear like this?
No, no.
Well, then he shouldn't cause us too much trouble.
But I can't let you try it.
You need those supplies, don't you?
Oh, yes, we need them very much. We are out of many drugs.
We'll have to manage without them.
Maybe you won't have to. Believe me, Doctor. I have respect for human life, too, especially when it's mine. I'll be back as soon as I get some fresh tanks for my boat and some other things, huh?
Here you are, Mr. Nelson.
So you're in on this, too, huh?
Rana told me to bring it.
She did, huh? This is my boatman and diving buddy, Vin Shaw. I imagine you know Dr. Spring.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, looks like the two of them got together and made sure that I'd help you. I'd like to. Very much.
All right. Now, there's a cove just down the river, near where the supplies were dumped. That might give you some protection going in or coming out of the water.
That's a good idea. Show us where it is, huh? You want to take this? Let's go. According to Dr. Sperling, the supplies had been dumped about a mile above the point where the river started boiling out into the sea. Most of the men in this river country were expert freedivers, like the two who had snagged me. Vin Shaw was the only one that I knew about who was checked out on scuba. I had checked him out myself. It was a good thing that I did have company. Fighting this particular current was definitely a two-man job. We fought it together for a good 15 minutes, but the medical supplies seemed to be nowhere in sight. I decided to let the current work for us now and carry us back to our starting point so we could search another sector. The current really knocked us around, but that wasn't the main problem. No matter where I looked, I couldn't see a sign of what we were after. There was nothing to do but fight our way forward again, beyond the point where we turned back and keep on looking. Those supplies had to be found, or 40 years of Dr. Sperling's life would literally go down the river.
Take cover. Come. It's Quang Lan.
Should we warn Mr. Nelson?
No, let's pray that he stays under with Vin Shaw till they go by. Do you think you can follow along the riverbank without being seen?
I could try.
Let us know when he turns back.
It was beginning to look as if the current had carried the supplies clear out of the river and into the sea.
Quang Lan, it seemed, had won this battle. And with it, the war against Lamatsu. I was wrong. He had come close, but he hadn't won yet. Even from this distance, I could see that he hadn't been content just to dump the supplies. He had ripped open most of the cartons first and scattered the precious medicine over the river bottom. Vinshaw went to work rounding up the supplies while I tied off our lifeline. Neither of us was expecting trouble, but it came from out of nowhere. From its angle of flight, I knew that it hadn't come from above, but from where? I had to find out. This spear might have some buddies. Vinshaw found the line which apparently had triggered this booby trap. We followed it to the trap itself. It was an old-fashioned crossbow. I was sure, though, that Quang Lan had planted more than one booby trap down here. I've been right about Quang Lan. He hadn't been satisfied with setting just one booby trap to protect the medical supplies that he looted from Dr. Sperling. Already I'd found a second trap and managed to spring it without getting hurt. Now, Vinshaw and I were looking for the rest of them. It wasn't too hard. Apparently, Quang Lan had drawn a crude square around the supplies and planted a trap at each corner. This line led me to trap number 3. It was a delicate operation releasing the spear from the crossbow, but my luck held. Vinshaw joined me now with a fourth spear. It could be that I was wrong, and there were still more booby traps. One last swing through the area showed nothing to worry about. The fact was, we were starting to run out of bottom time, and the sooner we got to the actual salvage job, the better. The job would have to be done in 2 stages. We'd be able to get the unbroken cartons to the top by hooking them to the special rope that I'd brought down. But we'd need something else for all the smaller stuff that was scattered around. It didn't take us long to secure the cartons to the rope. Now, unless we ran afoul of the currents again on the way up, this part of the job, at least, was done.
Mr. Nelson, these spears, where did you find them?
Quang Lan wanted to make sure that you didn't get your supplies. Here, pull it in, huh? At least what was left of them. He smashed up most of your crates.
Yes, but much medicine is still there, on the bottom, and not spoiled.
Yeah, that's right. We need a small mesh net to get it up. And some fresh tanks, huh?
I will get them.
Now, wait, Vinhart. Mr. Nelson, Quang Lan just went by in a junk with 2 spearmen. Now, all these spears of his are poison-tipped.
We better hurry, then.
No, I cannot allow you to go back in the water, Mr. Nelson.
But the bulk of the stuff is still down there.
So be it.
If Quang Lan wins this battle, he'll win the war. He'll close up your hospital.
So be it.
After dedicating your life to the hospital, you're willing to give it up just like that, without a fight?
Yes. And this is my way. And it's been my way for a very long time. Nothing, absolutely nothing, is worth jeopardizing a man's life for. Your life, Mr. Nelson.
What about the lives that'll be lost without those supplies? What are you waiting for, Vin? Come on. I'm sorry, Doctor, but I believe when you're hit, you should hit back.
I cannot let you do this, Mr. Nelson. Your death is almost a certainty.
With all due respect, Doctor, I believe I'm the best judge of my chances in the water. Now, we beat Quang Lan once without anybody getting hurt. We can do it again.
How much time will you need?
10 or 15 minutes is all.
Well, Rayner's keeping an eye on Quang Lan. Yeah. I'll signal you with the guide rope if you promise to come up then.
Yes, I will.
Here, Mr. Nelson. I changed my tank already.
You don't have to go back down again, you know.
We will finish more soon together.
That's right. What about Quang Lan?
I am afraid of him. So I think we should hurry.
Getting back down to the supplies wasn't much of a problem. Gathering them up, though, and sorting them out was going to take time.
Dr. Sperling, Quang Lan found Mr. Nelson's boat. He went aboard, and he knows he saw the gear.
He knows that Nelson is a diver?
Yes.
And Quang's coming back?
10 minutes. I took Teo Ray Pass so I could get here before him.
Good. Good girl.
Vinshaw was right. Together, we were finishing more soon. The question was, would it be soon enough?
Rayner.
The signal on our lifeline could mean only one thing. Quang Lan was back. But we couldn't stop now. The signal from topside was more urgent than ever. Luckily, the job down here was done now. All we had to do was fasten the net to the line and start for the top with it. We were all set now. But we had waited a few seconds too long. Quang Lan had spotted our bubbles, and he knew exactly what to do about it. One of his men dove straight down at us with a poison-tipped spear. Vinshaw didn't like the idea, but I insisted on sending him topside with the supplies while I held the fort. Dodging the spearman helped some, but not much.
Mark! Yes.
Seconds later, another diver was plunging down at me. This one almost tagged me. From From then on, it was one diver after another. The water seemed to be filled with them. They bailed in on me so fast that I just couldn't get off the bottom enough to get past them. About the only thing I could do was the octopus trick. Try to blind them. Not with ink, but with bottom sand.
What happened?
Is Mr. Nelson down?
He stayed to fight them.
Get the rat. This time he needs our help.
I twisted and dodged the best I could, but there was just one diver too many for me. One finally got past my guard. By some minor miracle, his spear found its mark in my gear instead of in me. He did plenty of damage at that. The spear had ripped my air hose. That meant, of course, that I had to get upstairs, if the spearmen would let me. To give me the speed I needed, I ditched my tanks. The air hose kept on bubbling, though, and this suckered one spearman into aiming for them instead of me. I had about one chance in 10 million now of winning my war against Quang Lan, but I might just manage to do it by using his tactics. I'll say one thing for Quang Lan. He wasn't the kind that gives up. Not until he's made to give up. I tried my darndest, but I couldn't do it. I needed outside help. And ironically enough, Quang's own spearman gave it to me. The poison-tipped spear had taken care of Quang Lan for the moment. The man responsible for that had just one idea in mind now, getting away from there. A second later, I hit the surface myself, took in some air, and started back down after Quang Lan. I got to the witch doctor just as he was going all the way down. It would have been the last time for him. How is he, Doctor? Is he gonna make it?
I believe the antidote I've given him will work.
That's good. I'm glad.
Did you really mean it when you said you were glad? That man tried to kill you. When you hit, you said you hit back.
Well, I didn't want to kill him. Just want to keep him from killing me, that's all. Nothing wrong in that, is there?
Why, no. Nothing. Nothing at all. I see that. There are many ways to protect the living organism from disease and death. My way, not the only way. Perhaps not even the best way.
Oh, I think it's the best way. But sometimes you gotta bend a little. You know, Doctor? Give a little, make changes to survive.
Adaptation. Yes, that's the law of survival and growth. You know, Mr. Nelson, I'm sorry you weren't a doctor. You'd have been a fine one.
Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is fun and adventure for young and old, but it can be dangerous. So know the sport well and don't take any chances. Be with you next week for another exciting sea hunt.